Why do so many people have their wisdom teeth, namely their back molars, removed every single year? That's a question that I want to try to get into today. Detox Warrior, bringing questions and raising awareness to help evolve humanity. Alright, so when you think about this, it's kind of interesting, like we don't really question this. It's just a normal thing that we practice nowadays. You go to the dentist, you're having pain in your molars and it's time to get your wisdom teeth removed. But people never really question, like, why is this happening? Why is there this obstruction that's happening? Why aren't the teeth fully forming? And I've been thinking about this for a while. And then I ran into some of Weston A. Price's work where he was going into, indigenous populations, and he was looking at their, skeletal structure, namely their jaws, and also how they were forming, and how the diet was having a large influence on the formation of the skeletal structure. So it's interesting, preconception and also in the developmental stages of, a child, if they aren't getting the proper nutrition and fat soluble vitamins like vitamin A and vitamin K2 and a lot of these vitamins that are required for proper skeletal formation, then they're going to they're going to underdevelop their jaws. They're not going to fully develop them, and they're going to be reduced in size. Now this is going to have an effect because when the teeth start coming in, there's not going to be enough room to have all these teeth line up well, and that's why you start seeing all these malformations in the teeth, so the teeth start crowding together because there's not enough space in the mouth. We're supposed to have wider, jaws. We're supposed to have a greater surface area for these teeth to develop in, but due to poor nutrition, our skeletal system is poorly developed. It's underdeveloped, actually. We're not developing the proper size and girth of the jaw, so the teeth aren't able to fit all in there, and they start crowding, and then you start needing braces. You start removing teeth, and it's like something that people don't really think about. It's just like, oh, I have teeth pain, it's like normal. It's about that time where you get your wisdom teeth removed. It's like a normal practice that we practice on a day-to-day basis. But basically what Weston A. Price discovered is that he was looking at indigenous populations, and he would look at the people who were eating the indigenous diet. They were eating, like all types of, vegetables and fruits, and even like animal products, but there weren't highly processed foods. They were a lot less refined, and they were not refined at all. Probably they were just the indigenous diet. And when these people, even the adults, when they were, like, say the women for example, they were conceiving a child, and they switched over to they already had the proper bone structure. They had a good bone structure, but when they switched over to that standard American diet that was infiltrating that Western diet, that was infiltrating those civilizations at that time period, when it kind of expanded towards the Eastern world and to indigenous populations, when they started eating that diet, their offspring was having the issues that we're having today. They started underdeveloping their jaws and their skeletal system, and they started seeing some of the issues that we have, like cavitations and all types of dental malformations and issues, so it was directly correlated with the diet and nutrition, and a little bit of the environment too. I think there's a whole synergistic effect of the whole lifestyle that we live in general, that's diet included, and the environment and all these factors that come into play. But I just wanted to raise that awareness that it's not something that's supposed to be done. Like, we're supposed to be able to encapsulate all our teeth. It's supposed to be formed nice and straight. And another thing that he noticed, that they had very straight teeth. They weren't crooked, and they were actually very healthy. Like teeth, they weren't as clean as today because they weren't keeping up with us, but they were a lot healthier. People think that just because they're white, have white teeth, and they get these braces, and that's the way it's supposed to be. But really, it's supposed to be naturally aligned. You know, you're not supposed to have your back molars removed and have braces and all these kinds of things. So that's something to think about, you know, for the future generations, or if you're thinking about, you know, conceiving a child, you might want to look into getting as many of these vitamins and minerals and from real good sources, so that you can have proper growth of that child's skeletal system and the structural system, so that they can have a healthy functioning, you know, dentistry, you know. And that's basically one of the things I wanted to share, just to raise that question and raise a little bit of awareness on that issue alone, you know. So just stay open-minded and keep questioning everything, basically. All right, I just forgot to add one thing. Like, I'm not saying like if you're having pain or having issues not to get your, you know, your wisdom teeth or your molars removed. I'm just saying that it's not supposed to be that way. Like, yeah, some of us have already done it, or some of us have, you know, are struggling with that pain, and in the situation it's probably too late, you know, to fix those that structure of the jaw system and stuff. Like, don't feel bad about it. It's just the way where we're at in humanity. But this is information geared towards the future, you know, for future generations. If you're thinking about having a child, if you're, you know, if you're trying to better humanity in the future, like, I'm not saying like, oh, if you did this too late, or you're a bad person, or like you did something wrong. Like, nah, it's just what happened. Like, you know, you did what's best for you in this situation. Like, but just understand that that was out of poor nutrition and, you know, just a lack of awareness, and both probably your parents' fault. Your parents, you know, just because they didn't have the awareness, you know, and that's just how it is. But we have to just get past that and learn this new information that we're getting, and embrace that and use that for the betterment of the future civilization. Because I know I posted something about this on Instagram, and I feel like people get real defensive because they've already had them removed, or they think that I'm saying like, oh, like that's something you shouldn't do. But for most of us, to be honest, it's already too late. So you're gonna have those pains already, you're gonna have the crowding of the teeth, so there's really not much you can do but take them removed. But this is, like I said, this information geared towards future generations, and like, and for people who are trying to conceive, and like something to think about, you know, something to question, and just realize that it's not supposed to be that way. And to better ourselves in the future, we need to incorporate some principles that are gonna help us be healthier and live more in touch with our biology and the earth, you know. So that's just a little quick thing that I wanted to add to make sure nobody is getting the wrong idea, that I'm not saying to not get these procedures done if you require them, you know. Absolutely, you know. So that's just one thing I wanted to add. All right, see you guys.